Welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Chris Costa.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme. So, Chris, I heard we have a new release out. I believe it's version 13.2 build 8.
That's
and
correct.
I thought maybe today we could talk about the enhancements that were done in this build.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
The version number is 13.2 build 8, as you just mentioned. It's going to be available. Actually, it's available now. Okay, up on the download site, so we can. There's about 8 or 9 enhancements that we can go through.
Okay, that'd be
We can
great.
actually demonstrate them here.
Terrific.
Okay. Okay, the first one we'll talk about will be users that have metrics. Okay, we made a change so that when you have to add paper to an order, the metrics interface requires that you have certain information. Okay, so if I go to the material screen here, metrics requires that you have a caliper, supplier ID, and a basis weight, I think is the other field.
Okay.
So going forward, if you have the interface configuration for metrics set up, and you don't have one of those pieces of information in the system, when you save the material, it's going to tell you you have metrics set up. Do you want to proceed?
Okay. So it's a warning.
It is a warning. It will let you go through if you want to go through without that piece of information. If you don't have the metrics configured, you won't get the warning.
Okay. Great.
All right. Okay, so that's one. A couple are in AR, so I'll actually come out of order entry here. So if I go to accounts receivable, first one, I actually like this change here. On the batch entry screen, you'll notice, we have the customer account ID here. We added the ability to bring in the customer name field. I've gotten questions about this for a little while now. So you do have to do a reset of your data grid when you get the update. You bring it back to default, and then go to the columns, and you'll be able to see the customer name and add that field in.
Okay, great.
So if you prefer to see the name, you'll be able to do that going forward. Okay. A couple of things that we've tried with accounting recently to prevent some misuse or just doing some things that really we shouldn't be allowing. So with credit and debit journals, we're going to prevent the ability to put in a negative value when you allocate to an invoice or a credit or something like that.
Great. That'll be great.
And prevent the ability to enter a negative credit note.
Okay.
There really should be no reason why you'd enter a negative credit
Right.
note. So we'll prevent those kind of things there.
Okay.
Okay. So just to, if you were to enter a credit note per se and you add here, you wouldn't be able to have the line item, or I should say the entire value of the transaction be negative.
Okay.
You could still have a line item be negative if you
In the credit
yeah,
note.
if you
Okay.
needed to for whatever reason to show different lines, but the total value would still have to be positive.
Okay.
Okay, or zero.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. And then with the credit and debit journals, just as a quick example here to show where I'm referring to, we put $100 here. When you click the add button to apply this to another transaction, okay, you are no longer going to be able to do something like that.
Okay.
Okay. And by the way, if you're trying to do something like that, it probably means you're on the wrong transaction type.
You should be doing a debit journal as opposed to a credit journal.
Exactly. If you're in a debit journal trying to flip it the other way, it means you should be on the credit journal.
Okay.
Okay. So the system will actually now come up if you try to say okay, it'll put up an actual stop sign right there.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. There was a additional system setting added in the overall standards to mandate that a manual price be used on orders. Okay. So it's on the overall order that you can't save a component without it having a manual price.
Okay, so you get an error message or a warning or whatever. As it is an error message, it won't let you save it when you save the component.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I guess the benefit there is if you want to have somebody drive home a price, that's your way of being able to force them to do that. So you're basically eliminating the system calculating the order. You're telling the user, I need you to actually put the price in.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
A couple of options new in scheduling. One dealing with bind all. They're both under the rules. Okay, so one actually it says bind all option. And actually, I can leave this up for a second just to the users can read this. But basically, what happens is it's going to be a way for the bind all components, bind all processes, to organize in the schedule. So anything before the bind all components will schedule first. Your bind all component will schedule next, and then anything that's after the bind all will come after that. So
Okay.
anything remaining will schedule after.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's an option along with this added at the cost center level where you can dictate that this process has to go after the bind all.
Okay, so I'm assuming that would mean if I have a couple of components, one has a bind all option, it gives me the ability to have that scheduled, the bind all first, and then I can dictate which cost centers in the second component get scheduled after so that they schedule properly. Okay, makes sense.
So we can actually go out of here. I'll go back to the main menu for a second. If we go into a PostPress process, okay, you'll have the ability to dictate, I'm sorry, it's not at the process level, it's at the cost center level. Okay, schedule after bind all operation. So you can check that option, and that'll tell the system that this cost center and any processes within it have to schedule after the bind all.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
And then one other option back in scheduling was to have the schedule reschedule loaded items on a refresh. And so what that will do is reload the entire schedule and then reschedule everything, and based on the rules that you have set up.
Okay. What about locked processes? If I got something, or cost centers, if I got something locked in the schedule, when it reschedules, what does it do with that?
Good point. No, it won't touch a locked process. Okay. So if you have that job that's locked on the schedule, it'll ignore those.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What else? Sorry, I'm just going to look at a note for a second. Oh, one note in the general ledger. We made it so that when you save a journal entry, and this comes up sometimes when you duplicate an entry or you want to reverse an entry, if you don't change the date right away, some people will change the date at the batch level after the batch has already been created. And if you don't then change the transaction dates, well, now you've got a journal entry with a batch date that differs from the transaction dates, and there really is no reason why you'd want that. So we've added an ability to just have the system automatically update those transaction dates.
So does that mean when you change the batch date, it updates all of the transactions? Okay.
Yep. So we can go through here and just show you how that would work. So if I am in the duplicates reversals and I say, okay, I want to reverse this one, and let's say I don't change the date right away. Okay, so I save it, and then I go to my journal entry, and I go, oh, I need that to be in July. Okay, or August. Okay, so I change the date. So it's August 8th. Save it. Now, previously, these transactions would still show with the June 30 date unless you went in and changed them. Okay. But if I open them up here, okay, they've been automatically updated to be August 8th.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, so that'll just happen automatically. Okay. And then one other option I'll just mention here, we've added an ability under the interface configuration to add one for a sellership.
Okay, and what's that?
It's going to be an interface to a shipping software, OnPoint Connect, a sellership. It'll let you sort of centralize all of your shipping with FedEx, UPS, any of the other ones, so you don't have to have individual mechanisms
to integrate.
To integrate all to a centralized location. We're going to do a separate video probably in the next week or two on that one specifically, so we'll tell everybody to look forward to that one in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything I missed?
No, I think you've covered it all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, this was another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Chris Costa.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
Please look forward to more to come.